Come on in, welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about the purple edit on Survivor in a new series on this channel I'm calling Survivor Summer School. Class is in session. Over the 22 years and counting that Survivor's been on, it's developed an entire language that can be a little confusing for newer or more casual fans of the show. Why is everyone called purple? Why is this the only fandom where being a goat is bad? What is a pagonging? What is edgic? You're just making up words at this point. Over the next month or two, I want to help demystify some of these Survivor-specific concepts and words. And what better place to start than with the purple edit on Survivor? Have you ever been watching Survivor or any other reality show for that matter, and like 10 episodes in, someone just pops up out of nowhere that you didn't even know was a contestant on the show? Like all of a sudden someone named Chelsea is getting confessionals, and you could have sworn that there was no Chelsea on this show until this moment right now? That is a purple edit. It is so infamous in the Survivor fandom that it's frequently used to describe players who are getting little to no screen time, as in Survivor is purpling that player so hard right now. So today I want to break down what the purple edit is, why it might happen to someone, and how a young woman on Survivor's 21st season was so infamously under-edited that she ironically left a legacy more impactful in Survivor history than most winners. Plainly put, the purple edit on Survivor is when someone is given basically no screen time across multiple episodes. The show seemingly goes out of its way to hide this person at all costs. You literally will not hear from a purpled player for 2 or 3 or 4 or even more episodes at a time. Compared to the rest of their castmates, they're completely invisible. For all intents and purposes, they aren't even a minor character in the narrative. They're a complete non-entity we're not even supposed to remember exists until they're voted out. If we even see them at all, from our point of view, they're presented as a number for someone else. Of course, because these are people, they had their own motivations in the game, but we, the audience, are never let in on what they're thinking or their perspective on things outside of a very basic surface level. We might get their opinion on, like, tri-tip steak or something, but we're probably not going to get anything more insightful than that from them, and things like that.
My ideal first date is a bonfire on the beach.
Really?
Yeah, I just pick dinner up to go from somewhere. For most of the time, I just do like a tri-tip salad.
Unless you're really actively watching the show, you wouldn't even know these people exist until their inevitable elimination episode where they have to be shown for the story to make sense. And even then, some players have basically been purpled in their own boot. Survivor episodes generally cover 72 hours of real time. Multiplied by 16 to 20 players, hundreds of hours of footage has to be cut down into 42 minutes of precious airtime. And the final television product trumps all other concerns when it comes to editing. The fact of the matter is, the edit is a cruel mistress. Just by the nature of basic storytelling principles, you're going to have major and minor characters. Not everyone is going to get an equitable amount of screen time. Think of it like a painting. Editing is an art, and sometimes you're the focal point, and sometimes you're this guy. But when it comes to our purple players, we aren't talking about the B-level characters who the audience is aware of, but who just aren't the main characters. We are talking about people who are almost entirely absent from the narrative as presented. The people sandbagged so hard in the edit that they're absent for episodes at a time, and when they start getting screen time, you know their screen time is almost up. So why would someone get purpled? Sometimes players get purpled because they just don't fit into the story being told that much. Maybe they're just incidental characters in the story who appear when they're relevant and disappear when they're not. They're not important to the relevant storylines being shown. Sometimes they are purpled because they go out via an immunity idol or some other twist, and the producers don't want us to get super attached to them, lest we think the manner in which they went out of the game is unfair. But far more often, people are purpled because they just aren't delivering good TV. Survivor wants larger-than-life people who have an opinion on everything. Generally, casting does a great job of finding these people and putting them on our screens. But for one reason or another, sometimes people get out on the island and just aren't popping off the screen. Maybe it's the hunger and fatigue, or maybe they're just camera shy. But if you go on Survivor and you're not articulating your point of view and explaining things that are happening around you in an interesting or at least coherent way, you're probably not going to be on TV all that much. This is most evident in confessionals. These are the lifeblood of the storytelling, where the contestants can talk to us, the audience, directly, and tell us about themselves and what they're thinking and feeling. If you go on Survivor, you need to be good at these, or else you're gonna end up on the cutting room floor. A good confessional tells us something insightful in an interesting way. It could illuminate a player's point of view and show them as clever or perceptive, or even delusional. It can be an entertaining narration of camp life. It could just be too funny not to include. It could even be an over-the-top plug for a sponsored product. A bad confessional is just none of the above. It could be here only because it's necessary to the plot of that particular episode, or the person giving the confessional isn't exactly electrifying, but they do well and have to be shown. Or it could be a token confessional given to someone because they have to give them something at some point. Sometimes it even feels like a really flat confessional is included just to tell us, hey, this is why this dude is getting no airtime. He can't even get through a sentence. Either way, confessional count is of course not the only way you get screen time on Survivor, but the confessional count is generally a good bellwether of how involved a person is in the storyline and how much they're appearing on screen. And there was one player who was so uninvolved in the storyline and so not on the screen, she made Survivor history. So we've got the definition, we've got why someone might get purpled in the edit, but why on earth is it called the purple edit? Let's take a journey to Survivor's 21st season, Survivor Nicaragua. Now I'd say this is a pretty unremarkable season, and it's not typically looked at as one of the show's best, but it is important historically for what we're talking about. On the La Flor tribe in Nicaragua, there were two women named Kelly Shin and Kelly Bruno. Because there were no other obvious physical differences between them, in episode 1, La Flor starts calling Kelly Shin Purple Kelly for the streak of purple in her hair. Now, Kelly Shin would have still probably been a fitting name, but that would be the last time we would hear about Purple Kelly for 7 long episodes. Purple Kelly had an, at the time, unprecedented streak of invisibility. She literally did not get a confessional until episode 7. I'd say Joe Schmo Survivor player averages about 2 confessionals per episode, so this was quite the cold streak. Confessionals are not the be-all end-all of visibility, but even in camp life scenes, she was not shown at all. She's rarely, if ever, shown speaking to someone else, and often she's not even in frame. It's almost like they're intentionally going out of their way to remove her from the season's story entirely. Ironically, this backfired. Her complete absence only made her popular online. It was at a fever pitch when we get our first Purple Kelly confessional in episode 7, when Purple Kelly describes a reward the other tribe won, a visit to a Nicaraguan farm for a homemade breakfast. As the Chiron faded in, fans awaited the most anticipated confessional in Survivor history.
Reward was for a horseback ride and breakfast, and you get to milk your own milk, I guess.
Milk your own milk. In 4 words, a Survivor legend was born. Unsurprisingly, Purple Kelly went radio silent for the next 3 episodes, and the show made her a punchline. More so. Purple Kelly's invisibility became a running gag not only online but on the season itself. The editors not only didn't show her at all, but then they made fun of how little they were showing her.
You never talk, really.
I know, it's kind of funny, huh?
Weird.
The reason why all became clear in episode 11. In episode 11, Purple Kelly and her fellow castaway Nayanka both quit the game on day 28. Just 11 days shy of the end of the game. Probst has never liked quitters on his show for obvious reasons, but you can really see the disgust on his face when these two announce their departure from the game. Purple Kelly chose to leave the game because this season was filmed in the middle of the Nicaraguan rainy season. She wasn't given much clothing, and she was completely miserable and freezing all the time. Whether you think this is a justified reason to quit the game or not is your call. Fan opinion is still divided to this day. However, all told, Purple Kelly left the game with 5 confessionals across 11 episodes, 4 of which were in the episode where she quit. And even the confessionals shown in her boot explaining why she's leaving were chosen intentionally to humiliate her.
From the mom's point of view, she says, suck it up, you only have a few more days. But it's like, I've been sucking it up for 28 days. I have nothing left to suck.
I don't think any producers have ever come out and said this publicly, but it's very obvious that her poor edit that never showed her, and when they did show her, they only made fun of her, was punishment for her quitting the game. An especially egregious Survivor sin since it was during the jury phase of the game, leaving production in a major bind on whether to allow quitters on the jury or not. But ironically, the effort to suppress Purple Kelly in the edit only made her a genuine Survivor icon. Soon, any player who had a cold streak of little to no visibility was called Purple Whitney, or Purple JP, or Purple Chelsea. Purple almost instantly became Survivor shorthand for invisible. Incredibly, if we're going by confessional average, Purple Kelly isn't even the most purple player ever. Both Hope in Survivor Karamoan and Chelsea in Survivor Ghost Island have lower confessional averages than a woman famous for having the lowest confessional average. Lucky them. So there we have it, how Purple became universal reality TV slang for invisible, why Purple Kelly was under-edited to a historic degree, and how a tiny streak of purple hair created a Survivor legend. You know what they say, purple heroes get remembered, but purple legends never die. Got nothing else for ya. School's officially in session. Let me know what histories, concepts, and breakdowns you'd like to see this summer during Survivor Summer School. Until next time, don't get idled out.